Shirley here with Sirius Dallas Moon. Moon hour, Jupiter day, the moon is 7 degrees Taurus, separating from a square to retrograde Pluto. And it's in the 6th house, and we're in between eclipses, so I don't grab my Jupiter talismans, because Jupiter is in Cancer, sextiling Sol and the Ketu 18 degree with Mercury. Mars is 22 in Libra. Ascendant ruled by Jupiter, with Jupiter in the 8th house. And let's vlog. So I woke up today. First of all, I woke up to a dream. And in the dream, the essence of the dream was about maintaining my emotional needs and integrity to, hey, I emotionally need that. And as I woke up, it was more like, hey, my erotic rapport requires that. And those are not things that I compromise on. And then there was a sense of embodiment that had been accompanying me while basically reconnecting with my sensual self. I have been working with an essential oil that I blend that I made for my fungal toes. Again, the star of the toe star. um, and that one. And yesterday I added chocolate essential oil, cocoa essential oil into that. So there's all the antifungals. The smell really iffy, like oregano and stuff like that. And then I added chocolate and I went to sleep, and that was my dream. Then I wake up and I see Annika Lucas uploaded another episode with, and Falcon, please. I know I talk a lot about the currency stuff, but each person has their own trajectory. And if you are enjoying Annika Lucas' work and Annika Lucas' podcast, please spare a couple of pennies, like spare some money, because that allows her to put that money to good use. And I think this is a great way to alchemize the frequency around money for people who are working around financial freedom, changing the mindset of financial freedom. And I actually plan to refine certain things myself. I'll see what the road that it will take me to donate as well. I bought her book when my previous phone was stolen. I bought her book, um, and now today she interviewed Dr. Olson Miller, and to me it was a storm of peace, because this is someone that began to look into satanic ritual abuse and how to treat people, simply because she received clients, and she was studying her field. She didn't understand the diagnosis thing, and there was not a knowledge about trauma in that field. So I really recommend to watch this interview. It's it is triggery, okay? It is triggery. I cannot predict the level of trigger that it would make, um, but if you feel safe watching and take your time with yourself, that could be great resource of knowledge. And I was thinking about the yod in astrology, which is the topic of this episode. So we had an eclipse on the point of a yod. And before the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, now we are towards the solar eclipse, which is going to be on another yod. The solar eclipse is going to be on that point in Virgo that is in conjuncting Chiron and Aries, and yes, trining Uranus, but in conjuncting Chiron and Aries, opposing Neptune and Saturn. No, it's going to actually be trining Pluto. So actually be trining Pluto. So no, the leaders had it a little bit. The leaders had just not the yod, but an inconjunct with Chiron and Aries. I will turn to leader stuff on another episode. But let's talk about the people. We the people. And leaders are people. People are leaders. I got that a lot when I was working on Geert Wilders' chart, and because he's a populist leader, and so we had an eclipse on a yod, which means both inconjuncts, and those inconjuncts were to Saturn, Neptune, and to Pluto. I have a natural yod with Chiron, which makes my healing journey inconsistent, but also having to involve some sort of tending to the Pluto and Neptune. So it's science, it is psychiatry, the science of psychology, the science of psychiatry, the intelligence. And right before the eclipse, I did a chart of Frank Olson, which triggered some of my colleagues because indeed he was he was kind of like, I guess he was a kind of like a psychological Dr. Mengele, and um, and he had a pentagram shape chart where each point was a yod. And so I'm not going to bring that chart again. Um, so each point, and for me, for my nervous system, watching that was calming, which triggered the fuck out. What calms me triggers people, okay? I understood that. I get that. It has to do with the yod because my nervous system, and people have yods, people have inconjuncts, two inconjuncts, okay? My Uranus inconjuncts my sun and moon, and that's astrology. Um, and I'm a kind of a peculiar astrologer, which is kind of saying like an alien. So, um, and this is because very likely my nervous system was designed in a way where the environment that is comfortable for it is incredibly triggering because I'm meant to dissolve the entanglements and traumas in places where the common person would be freaked out. Okay? So it requires a certain level of dissociation, which means that my nervous system needs to calm on certain things that are incredibly triggering to others. That is a part of my journey. And for Frank Olson, that was taken to a place that is Dr. Mengele-like, and eventually, whether he committed suicide or not, I ran into his pentagram yod-shaped chart right before the yod eclipse on the people. And the reason that I'm putting this information forward is I know that the embodiment thing is connected to also leaders, and I will talk about it in another episode. But the right now, particularly people that have inconjuncts in their chart, one or more yods. I actually need to think about how many yods I have in my chart. It's not pentagram shape, but a yod shape is two inconjuncts, and the point that is holding those inconjuncts is a very volatile point that is a part of disruption. For example, for me, Chiron is in the fourth house, and it would have to do with the inconjunct is with Pluto and with Neptune. Okay, so housing has to do with volunteering intelligence, medicine, and that is a volatile tension with. Okay, um, Pluto. A bomb science, holistic science around A bombs, fusion and fission. I did an episode about it yesterday. We talk about CERN. Politics, yes, but also taboo stuff about psychosexuality, Scorpio, um, and more stuff, and more stuff. Anyway, so that means that whenever I tend to housing, all those things, aside of the fact that I have a Chiron there, all those things are in a volatile way coming to the forefront. And what I mean in a volatile way, it is an energy of disruption. Now, because we had an eclipse that where on that yod, okay, then yeah, we had the eclipse in the middle decan. Was it that eclipse that was on that yod? It was in a yod shape with Jupiter and Mars, but the moon was, but that would be a kite shape. Are we approaching the yod? We're approaching the yod. Oh, the leader's eclipse is going to be. Okay, leader's eclipse is going to be on that yod. Exactly. Hey, this is a trine. Something in. This is a trine. This is a trine. No, we're gonna have a kite shape, and we had a yod. The moon was in a yod shape with Jupiter and Mars. And so for the people, it was a moon row with Jupiter and Mars. So a lot of people are going to have a sense of disruption in their lives, their housing. They're going to learn about targeted individuals and the spiritual realm, because Moon Rao, there's a lot of, I'm sorry, but people have to deal with corsets with Moon Rao. And it can be kind of like, oh, they want to find a housing, but the housing is haunted. And their justice system is going to be involved, and beliefs are going to be involved as well. So people may find it difficult to find a house because of their religious belief. Or difficult to find a house because there is an Epstein petering in the forefront. And yeah, well, it's a real estate. What can I say? I mean, they do that in some real estates. So, and so usually they opt for the like safe places where nobody would suspect, you know. No jabbing about the sneakers billionaires, no jabbing about the sneakers billionaires, no jabbing about the sneakers billionaires. I tried. Anyway, so the yod shape, as you can see it with the energy, and when I talk about an energy, usually when we talk about an energy, the energy begins to displace. So you see that disruption energy that wants to liberate stuff, but is very disruptive. It's kind of an Uranian energy. And the chart of Frank Olson arrived because that was the, if you think about the charts that arrive before eclipses or charts that arrive before astrological events, those are charts that hold the energy of the eclipse, which means that a lot of people are targeted individuals by those CIA experiments, not just CIA experiments. And a lot of people begin to understand, first of all, what does the elite going through, because they are the first targeted individuals. What do targeted individuals are going through? And begin to ask themselves the scientific questions. This is a good preparation. I'm sorry for all the people that are going to deal with, sexual assaults. Basically, what you need to remember, first of all, that you're not to blame. Whatever, you're not to blame. It's not about religion. It's not about what you're wearing. It's not about which angels you're praying to. None of that. You're not to blame. And stand your ground, and and see what energies can assist. Okay, try to see if somebody can assist, because sometimes people just come to assist and to shield, and it's kind of like the correct people for you would arrive with that, because to the people who are just going to pray to Archangel Michael, so they're going to deal with with what that entails. To the people that are going to stand the ground, that what that entails. So the people that unfortunately they tried to traffic, then the people that I heard that got out of trafficking were violent towards the offender. And being violent towards the offender, they will try to shame you. Say none of that, okay? And those things begin to unfold and unravel. And if people don't believe you, if you got to ask for help, somebody doesn't believe you, or being isolated, just say, well, you don't believe me, you're going to be the study case, and nothing I can do about it. As much as you can, don't argue, block the people. If they come at you, okay, remind them, hey, you're being aggressive towards me, I just commented, or I just said something, you're being aggressive towards me, block the person, and so on and so forth. So that's going to be useful for a lot of folks. And also, standing your ground. Do not be, how do you say? I cannot say do not be ashamed of your sexuality, but any tendency, even if you feel ashamed about your sexuality, know that nobody has the right to use that shame against you. Okay, it's kind of like a fierce standing your ground, particularly because Mars was in Libra, so there's a lot of things to do with justice. Now, if you were a perpetrator, point that energy. If you're being attacked for being a perpetrator, point that energy, or even tell people, okay, point that to MK Ultra, point that to the ones that are giving the orders, point that to the wealth families that consolidate wealth by that. And I woke up today thinking like, hey, the Medicis, because the Medicis, I think, are Christian. On the level of like Rothschild, Rockefeller, Medicis is who is like Maloney, I think, is a Medici. And that was the family that brought us the funding for both Galileo, the papacy, and Leonardo da Vinci. So, and Maloney, by the way, came up with drugging the pedophiles. So if a person is perpetrating pedophilia, she's supporting them to have the treatment that they give basically to other people, which is a beginning of turning the fire, not turning the fire against the pedos, but holding the pedos accountable, so that we are not going into pedocracy, as Trudy Verstegen puts it. And again, it is so because those were the people who were easiest to extort. Again, watch Anneke Lucas; she explains it way better, way less triggers for the leaders. Like people who've been watching my work, then they have a context. And yeah, so a lot of people are going to deal with the disruptive energy of the Yod, particularly about housing, healthcare, religious institutions, dealing with curses. People that never before dealt with curses might be dealing with them now, and they'll just have to accept it, that those realities exist. Okay. For example, in my family, I grew up with a family who never believed in an evil eye or anything like that. We just say if people curse, it's on them. And my parents would say, I wish you what you wish for me. And if the person turns white on them, then loses their melanin. And so we're not dark skinned, but if the person goes even whiter, then, then it's like, okay, fine, it's on them. And we would resolve it at that. But I do astrology, so I had to deal with a little more backfiring than others. And indeed, the chart of Frank Olson arrived before this eclipse. So the energy of the Yod, very disruptive. It means that the balancing of the nervous system requires disruption. Okay, it's like a person that has to disrupt in a certain way, and basically holding that in conjunct is making that disruption benefic. Now, for me, it's easy to say because my Uranus is in a Yod on a Jupiter sign, and Jupiter is the great benefic. So I disrupt satanic-based astrologies. Okay, and it just happens. So I don't even mean to do that. So, and then it's just with Uranus it just happens. But this is also something that can challenge both healing and people that try to offer healing to people. And this is something that can make one, susceptible. And in where you have the Yod, you have to tend to all the parts of those inconjuncts. Okay, so let's say we had a Yod with Jupiter and Mars. So Mars in Libra, taking the right action, okay, is in a volatile tension with the need to emotionally surrender into whatever, which is Pisces, or emotional surrender, which is Pisces. For Chiron Pisces, it's a trigger. Your journey is different. You have your own gnosis about that. Okay, so Chiron Pisces doing, okay. Or Chiron that is somehow connected with Pisces. That is Chiron, Jupiter Chirons. So the Chiron Cancer, some of them have Chirons. Again, it's a different version of that. Anything care is triggering, but you're going to have your own gnosis by your own access to embodiment around that. And that's, it's problems that nobody can take from you, but it's also gnosis that nobody has the sovereignty over because it's yours. And yeah. Yes, depending on the house, you might share that with others. It's true, but even still, you can share dreams with others. You can share embodiment with others. and still we're two sovereigns, or which means that I could, you could share a dream with someone and you can see their dreams, but you might not know what it means to them, which is you can look at existentially as the inevitable gap between people, but also you can look at it as the excitement and sense of familiarity and estrangement required to have a long-term erotic desire and romantic desire for those that have it in that context. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, that just happened. Another thing that came up is the sense of not knowing that is essential in the ways a lot of mafiosi death cults were raised, because they had to betray everything and everyone to stay alive. And it was Holocaust life, and they were kind of like, they were supposed to design to survive a Holocaust, but what happened is that they lived through a Holocaust the entire lives. And they were Nazis. So this is what people don't understand. And then there are the people who play Hitler, which I didn't know about, because I was hearing Hitler, and I was like, okay, I did not know about that. But yeah, and often he came with families that survived the Holocaust or survived the Second World War. Even Soros boys, think Soros was also, and they kind of like, even they cannot know certain things. This is kind of like so fucking weird. Think about the protective role of a dissociation and the fragmenting role of it. Um, and the common people are going to be dealing with that. So learning about the yod shape is important. It's an energy of disruption and a volatile energy. Um, and this is an energy, and the disruption doesn't allow the linear things that are reliant on things that are way more disturbing to exist. Okay, think about the fact that before 7th of October, which I know that it's not really relatable, but this is exactly how they do these false flags. Let's talk about the Nazis because it's easier. Let's say before the before Hitler started the war, not started the war, um, very likely, you know, people will have this gnosis, certain people, or maybe certain Germans even, have this gnosis about those hidden horrors that happen in times of peace, and nobody makes a fuss about, because I remember when Syrians had their revolution, so they say, hey, nobody comes to help us because we don't have oil, and then probably they found some, and then everybody's like fighting over the land of Syria, which is Syrian people being killed over nothing from everywhere, from both inside and outside. Um, and then what happened in Germany for 300 years before the Holocaust, before Hitler. So this is how people would want to create a superhuman that will survive these times, and they would have to betray everything and everyone and eventually kill one another. But and that perpetuates this Ubermensch type of thingy, and the horrors are beyond horrid. And into that go the financiers that need to preserve the family wealth intergenerationally and look at it as pure power. And so what is pure evil becomes almost a love language in those societies. Um, and then the desire to have not the approximation of love, which is the complete inversion of the world, but the real thing is is the longing that people have within those dark ages for what people call the golden ages. And then there is a world war, and then there is a Holocaust, and then there is a genocide. You think about it, in indigenous tribes, most people live their lives, and yeah, this person does that magic, and this person does that magic, and so on. I even heard people from India that say that they would meet up at a gathering with women, and I said the hatred those women had for each other. And then comes colonialism, but within closed walls, it's kind of like the place where people are supposed to be supported is perpet perpetratory. Okay. um, and that creates a big giant mess that accumulates to the weapons that we see, and people are concerned about CERN, but that's what creates it. So the disruption energy of the yod is coming to disrupt the normalized fabrics of very disturbed reality and provoke people to do something, to change something in that mix. Um, because everybody talked about Dr. Mengele, nobody talked about Frank Olson, only as the person who killed himself and exposed the CIA. And then people, whenever somebody's acting disruptive, what do people say? Go to therapy. That's where the Mengeles are. And then or in Netherlands, if people need help, so like go to your family. That's where the disruption was as well. And this is where the yod energy can feel. Nay, wait, I have delineation seizure. Nay, thank you. Okay. Every once in a while, I had it yesterday too. I suddenly had to delineate the chart of someone. Suddenly had to delineate the point of a chart in someone. Uranus is in a yod. Okay, it's disruptive, but this is also another facet of the disruption. The orderly people of that I learned astrology from kind of try to come up with ethics for the disruptive profession, and and they talked about, oh, when is it comfortable, which is a good conversation to have. When is it ethical or comfortable to delineate the chart of a person or a teacher, and when is it not? And for me, it's like if I would not delineate certain charts, including those very teachers' charts, that would be havoc. But because I knew, hey, that person's going through that, that person's going through that, my nervous system calmed down. And it's like, okay, I understand. Understand what's happening. And and then when I understand what's happening, there's something calming about the nervous system where I can, it's kind of like a name it to tame it, but it's taming an entire nervous system. Uranus in the 10th house in a yod, to the sun and moon. Um, and I talk between eclipses, which is sun and moon. So the next episode, like I said, very disruptive energy. I'm sure that the people that find that just listening to that calming to their nervous system um, are going to be watching this episode. And then I'll do an episode about the upcoming eclipse in leaders.